All right, so we're back for another deep dive, and I gotta say this one's a little different. We're looking at, well, less of a specific event and more of like a whole saga, you know?
Yeah, more of a relationship, really. A fascinating one at that, especially given how it's unfolded over the past, almost a decade now.
Exactly. It's Playboi Carti and Kanye West. I mean, from the outside, you saw these two forces in music, both pushing boundaries, and you just kind of felt like, all right, something big is going to come out of this, right?
Absolutely. That early connection between them, it had this almost magnetic quality, like a collision of two distinct energies that were destined to create something truly unique.
And they did create some incredible stuff together. But the journey, let's just say, it's been anything but straightforward.
Yeah, there were some seriously unexpected twists and turns along the way, culminating in, a very public and pretty messy falling out.
So that's what we're going to unpack today. This complex, ultimately fractured relationship between Carti and Kanye. We'll trace it all the way back to their initial connection, those early collaborations, those moments where it felt like, wow, this could be something truly special. And then we'll delve into how it all went so sideways.
It's a story that touches on everything from artistic synergy and mentorship to the pitfalls of fame, the power dynamics within the music industry, and even the very real consequences of mental health struggles playing out in the public eye.
Yeah, a lot of layers to this one, but ultimately it's a reminder that even the most promising creative partnerships can be incredibly fragile.
Exactly. So to really understand how we got here, you got to rewind, go back to the beginning, back in 2015. You had Carti still finding his footing, building his sound, but already showing that raw talent and that distinctive style.
Definitely on the come up, but not quite the household name he is now, right?
Right. And on the other side, you had Kanye, already a legend, a global icon. So their initial connection, it really sets the stage for everything that unfolds.
And that early link, I think it speaks volumes about Kanye's instinct for spotting talent, especially talent that's maybe a little bit ahead of the curve, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Remember, Kanye's got this history of championing artists who challenge conventions, who push boundaries. And Carti, even back then, he had this rawness, this almost punk energy to his music that definitely aligned with Kanye's own iconoclastic spirit.
And think about this. September 2016, Kanye throws this good music pop-up show, and who does he bring out on stage? Carti. And this is before Carti's even dropped an official mixtape.
That's huge. It's a testament to how early Kanye saw something special in him. I mean, to give someone that level of exposure at such a pivotal point in their career, it speaks volumes about the belief he had in Carti's potential.
It's almost like, looking back now, it was prophetic.
It really was. And Kanye himself has spoken about that period, recalling Carti's energy on stage, that unique presence he had even then.
He saw that spark, and it wasn't just a fleeting thing either. By 2017, Carti's modeling for Yeezy Season 5. Those photos of him rocking the sample wave runners, iconic.
And who's right there with him in that first really prominent photo? Kanye.
A visual representation of a growing bond, both creatively and personally. You can't deny that.
For sure. And we can't forget the role of Ian Connor. He was managing Carti in those early days and was super tight with the whole Yeezy crew.
So he was like the central connector in their world, probably instrumental in those initial introductions and fostering that early connection.
Yeah, Connor was a bridge between them, operating in both Carti's world and Kanye's world, which naturally brought them closer together.
All right, fast forward a few years. It's late 2020, and Carti's about to drop Whole Lotta Red, an album that really solidifies his place as a singular voice.
A real game changer, that album.
Totally. And guess who's involved in a big way? Kanye. Not only is he executive producer, but he's also featured on Go to the Moon.
And that track's actually got a pretty interesting backstory. Kanye's verse was originally recorded for a song called Bipolar from his unreleased Purple Rain mixtape. So it's this piece of Kanye's musical history that finds a new home on Carti's very current, very forward-thinking album.
I love that. And you can hear how their styles, though different, really complement each other. You've got Kanye's more structured, lyrically driven approach next to Carti's abstract, almost hypnotic flow. It just works.
It's that juxtaposition, that blend of styles that makes it so compelling.
And Carti was super vocal about how much he valued Kanye's input on Whole Lotta Red. He talked about this creative synergy, a mutual understanding they had.
Yeah, he mentioned feeling that little boy again, reinvigorated, inspired, just being around Kanye in the studio. He even called him a creative genius in one interview.
High praise.
Definitely. And it wasn't just talk either. They went out to Wyoming in December 2020 and apparently recorded something like 60 tracks in just 2 weeks.
60 tracks.
60. Just insane productivity. It was like a creative explosion.
Wow. And while most of those tracks are still, locked away somewhere, a couple have actually surfaced.
Not officially, of course.
Of course. There's Made It, sometimes called All Pipsy. It leaked online back in 2023 after this whole weird hacking thing involving Lancey Foo.
Yeah, that whole situation was pretty wild. Apparently, hackers tricked Lancey Foo into recording a verse over the original Carti and Kanye track, and then boom, it's online.
Crazy how that stuff happens. But hey, at least we got to hear it. And around the same time, they recorded Off the Grid, which we know ended up on Kanye's Donda.
Yeah, that back and forth, that sharing of ideas and musical elements, it really showcases how intertwined their creative processes were during that period.
Absolutely. And it extended beyond the studio, too. Carti was all over those early Donda listening parties, and in his interviews, he was constantly praising Kanye.
That interview he did with Kid Cudi for Interview Magazine is really telling. He calls Kanye the OG, says he gave me my eyes, meaning like he opened him up to new ways of seeing things, both creatively and in life.
That's deep. It was more than just a working relationship. It was like a real mentorship.
Totally. And Carti talked about feeling a sense of belonging when he was around Kanye, like he was part of something bigger than himself. He described it as all family vibes.
A real sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. But then, things start to get, let's say, complicated.
Yeah, the narrative takes a turn.
Big time. But before we get into all that, let's talk about those rumors that were swirling around 2021, 2022 about a joint album.
Oh, Narcissist, right?
Narcissist, yeah. This supposed experimental project with rock influences, which, considering where both of their sounds were heading, it didn't seem that far-fetched.
I mean, an experimental rock album from Carti and Kanye, that could have been monumental, either a masterpiece or a total disaster.
Right. But the potential was huge.
Absolutely. And then there was that Introvert tour they were supposed to do in early 2023 with Lil Uzi Vert as a special guest. I mean, come on, that would have been insane.
A mega tour with 3 of the most influential figures in contemporary music. But sadly, it never happened.
Nope. Officially canceled. And the timing really suggests that, Kanye's increasingly controversial public statements and behavior played a big role.
Yeah, that whole period was a lot. It definitely cast a shadow over everything.
No doubt. It put anyone associated with Kanye in a really tough spot, and it seems like it definitely strained a lot of his relationships, professional and personal.
Including, seemingly, his relationship with Carti.
Right. And then we get to March 2025, the release of Carti's I Am Music album. Given their history, everyone's expecting Kanye to be all over this project.
That was the assumption, for sure.
But then, surprise, Kanye's barely on it at all. He had that initial production credit on Backdoor, the track with Kendrick Lamar, but even that got removed later.
Which, of course, sparked all sorts of speculation.
Yeah, everyone's like, what's going on?
And then things just kind of explode. Kanye goes on this whole Twitter rant, starts claiming that Jewish people pressured Carti to keep him off the album.
It was a really troubling escalation in his rhetoric, and it made this whole situation way more complicated and, frankly, disturbing.
And the apparent trigger for all this was Carti allegedly reaching out to Kim Kardashian, Kanye's ex-wife, about his daughter, North, maybe doing a verse on a song.
Yeah, that seemed to be the tipping point.
And Kanye just goes off. Starts attacking Carti online, calling him all sorts of names, accusing him of things that, there's no evidence to support.
Yeah, it got really personal and really ugly.
He called him a flirt, a basic dumber version of Virgil, accused him of beating his women, being a deadbeat. It was brutal.
And he also mentioned a scrapped collaborative project called Cartier, claimed that he gave Carti his biggest song with Carnival. It was like he was trying to diminish Carti's accomplishments and rewrite their entire history.
That he was trying to erase everything they'd done together.
Exactly.
And then it gets even weirder. Kanye publicly reaches out to Iggy Azalea, Carti's ex, and Onyx's mom about wanting Onyx's vocals for a track, and even brings up one of her businesses in his tweets.
It felt like another way to exert pressure, like he was trying to control the narrative and draw more people into this whole mess.
Iggy, understandably, was not happy about it. She responded publicly, basically saying, hey, leave my son out of this. Don't drag him into your online drama.
Yeah, it's understandable that she would be concerned about her son's online history, especially with the kind of accusations Kanye was throwing around.
Amidst all this chaos, it also comes out that Kanye was originally supposed to feature on Fiend from For My DJ, another Carti song.
Right, which makes you wonder if that collaboration fell apart because of all this tension, too.
It's hard to say for sure, but the timing is certainly suspect.
Yeah.
And then there's Kanye's Bully album. Initially, it had a track called Melrose featuring Carti.
But then Kanye announces he's redoing the track, taking Carti off completely.
It felt like the final nail in the coffin.
It did. And in an interview with academics around this time, Kanye describes Carti as his final heartbreak. Yeah, it sounded like a genuine sense of betrayal, like he was deeply hurt by how everything had gone down.
It's crazy how quickly things unraveled.
It really is. From all family vibes to complete and utter estrangement.
And then just when you think it's over, Kanye tweets, "I love Carti" in April. It's like, what does that even mean at this point?
Right. Is he being sincere? Is it some kind of ironic jab?
We're left with more questions than answers.
Exactly. And it just goes to show how complex and unpredictable these creative partnerships can be.
It's a reminder that even when there's immense talent and seemingly genuine connection, things can fall apart in spectacular fashion.
Especially when you factor in the pressures of fame, the constant scrutiny, and the very real impact of mental health struggles.
It's a lot to unpack, and honestly, I don't think we have all the answers. But hopefully, this deep dive has given you some insight into the tangled web that is the Carti-Kanye saga.
Yeah, and maybe it'll spark some conversations about the nature of creative partnerships, the power dynamics within the industry, and the importance of mental health awareness.
Definitely a lot to think about.